I left a dirt stain on man's white Nikes because he wouldn't move his feet on a flight. I was flying home from a work trip on AA. Now on this flight a man sat next to me. He wasn't super tall, about average in height. He needed to go to the bathroom, so I got up, let him out, and got up again to let him in. As I sat back down, my leg hit his. I looked down to see his leg about halfway into my aisle, leaving me with about 1/3 of the space I had. I'm thinking he's going to move, and he's got plenty of space because he doesn't have a bag under his seat, but he keeps it there. I'm sitting side saddle in my seat at this point. I look at him, then at his leg, then back at him. He blatantly stares at me, then pulls out his phone and just starts playing on it. So what I do is lift my foot and place it over his foot, setting the dirty sole of my Converses on what looks like new white Nikes fabric ones, too, not leather. He immediately whips his head up at me, and I, following his example, pulled out my tablet and started reading. He pulls his foot away and had a nasty attitude the whole plane ride. Good, I got my space back. Bad neighbor and rude pizzeria double revenge. I'll make this short and sweet. My neighbor down the road loves to sit on his porch and he'll yell at people driving by. He's flipped me off countless times and I've never spoken a word to the guy. Just a grouch that enjoys making other people miserable. I guess he swore out my other lovely neighbor, and that's where I drew the line. Now there's also a pizza place down the road that I used to frequent. I even knew one of the cooks by name cause he's my buddy. Well, they got a new manager, and the last time I ordered a pizza, my grandpa fell and I had to take him to the hospital. I called back within 5 minutes of calling the order in, and they refused to refund me or cancel. Fine, petty revenge it is. So a few days later I drive by and see Mr. Grouchy in his usual location. Once I got home, I called the pizza place with the *67 prefixed so they couldn't see my number. I then proceeded to order delivery for around $150 worth of pizza using the guy's name, phone, and address I found in the phone book. I never saw what happened, but he stopped flipping people off and swearing them out. I hope he learned his lesson. I got revenge on my uncle for being an asshole. Story time. So a while back, my uncle was visiting from Germany. He visits maybe once or twice a year if that, and he mentioned to me that he wanted to come hang out with me at a Starbucks, and I thought that was fine, so I agreed to meet him. When I meet my uncle there, it's going fine at first, and then all of a sudden he starts interrogating me as to why I'm not talking to my abusive and narcissistic relatives, and then I go through the whole song and dance and list off the hateful and insane things they did to me, and then he goes, "You know, Ithasia, I'm really concerned that you're not talking to your family." At this point I mention that my brother called me a homophobic slur 2 weeks before Pride Month after I just came out as bisexual publicly in front of hundreds of people on Twitter, and my uncle is basically like, "It's not a big deal, you should just get over it." On the car ride home, I try one last time to appeal to his humanity and point out that my father is saying prejudiced things about his neighbors, to which my uncle says, "Look at how woke you are." Flash forward several months to my cousin's wedding. I run into my uncle there and pretend to be polite, and he's like, "I have this flash drive here that I want you to have. It had all these priceless family photos and videos and memories," and I painstakingly put it together and I say, "Sure, thanks." When I get home, I take the flash drive and throw it in my cat's litter box, and I take a picture of the flash drive in the litter box and send my uncle an email with the photo attached saying that my cat found a new toy, and he was absolutely furious from what I was told. My family thinks they're dealing with a scapegoat, but they're actually dealing with a supervillain. I undid a lot of work on a group presentation in high school. I was always the kid who did the most in the group projects. I tried harder when in a group than I did on my own because I didn't want anyone to fail because of me. I did everything as soon as possible, possibly even the day we were assigned, because I was not going to be the one dragging things down. In my junior year of high school, I was in a group of slackers for a history project about something that I don't remember. It doesn't really matter, because the information wasn't the point. My group members did the absolute bare minimum and then spent the rest of the week. We had a week of in-class time to work on this together, making the slides so unbelievably ugly that you could hardly read it. They tilted all the text, turned the background different neon colors, changed the font color to something that conflicted horribly with the background, and then made the actual font different in every paragraph. The piece de resistance was when they added the lowest of the low 2016 memes to every single sheet, because technically, he just said we needed pictures. Did the project technically fit every single criteria? Yes. But my slide was the only one that took the project seriously. That Thursday, the day before the final in-class work day, I was ranting about it to my mother when I had an idea. I went through and changed every single setting to the basics, even my own. Basic text, white background, etc. Then I found a picture so large that it wouldn't load into Google Sheets and would only show a gray square with 3 dots in the middle. I replaced every single meme with the unloaded picture. On Friday, all of my group mates were devastated to see that their hard work was for nothing. I, as the gracious teammate I was, offered to fix it for them. And yes, while we all got a good grade, they were very disappointed by the well-formatted presentation. Refused to be quiet? Okay, let's make some noise. Hi Reddit, myself and 2 friends moved into a brand new apartment together 2.5 years ago and we were thrilled. It all went fairly well, no complaints. The neighbors were noisy for the first month or so, drilling and stuff, and we didn't think too much about it. We had all just moved in, after all, and stuff needs to be done. Our upstairs neighbor, however, quickly became an issue. When the honeymoon period had settled down, we noticed we could still hear her a lot. Now, these apartments are brand new, so we can't even hear that much. I never hear music. I rarely hear neighbors fighting or screaming or kids crying. I can't even hear the washer/dryer down the hall. This is just to give you an example of how fucking noisy this woman is. The noise? Well, it was her stomping around every goddamn day. We would literally be woken up by her getting out of bed every day at 6:00. To try and emphasize how loud she was, it sounded like she was standing up on her bed and jumping onto the floor every morning, with boots on. I wouldn't even say she was walking around her apartment, it sounded more like she was preparing to march on Poland. All of her weight on her feet and wearing shoes on a wooden floor. And she was just an average-sized woman, so this takes effort. She lived on the 5th floor, and if you took the stairs, you could hear her stomping echo through the stairwell from the 2-6th floor. No exaggeration. Okay, fine. Maybe she just doesn't realize. I go and try to talk to her. She, of course, never opens the door. We can hear you. We discover that she's a single mom and give her a bit of sympathy. On top of her stomping, we could also hear someone/something running around. Again, this starts at 06 in the morning and we might get a break between 10-14 and then it would start again until 02 in the morning. Every day, it sounded like someone was playing Dance Dance Revolution for hours, just jumping on the same spot. On the rare occasion we got a break and she was quiet, she would start drilling or move her furniture around for hours. I kid you not. This woman found an excuse every week, and for a year we started taking notes of the noise and time to drill for hours on end, and usually after the sound curfew in our building. If she didn't drill, time to rearrange all the furniture in the house, apparently. I genuinely thought she had a toddler or 2 because something was running around all day. But then I thought, toddlers couldn't possibly make that much noise. They don't weigh that much. No, she had 2 kids between the ages of 9-12 who not only stomped around all day too, they throw trash in the hallway, elevator, stairwell, scream, throw tantrums, throw stuff around the apartment. Yeah, those kids were monsters, and she was clearly not a good mom. After a year of this, we had enough. I went and tried to talk to her. No reply. Then she started drilling. Yes, soon after I knocked on her door and we all just screamed stop because it was 21:00. I also didn't want to go up to her being angry, because naturally this is infuriating and disrespectful, so I decided to write her a note. I hope you have a great Christmas. Problem solved, right? No, sweet child, of course not. She shoved the letter back into our postbox and proceeded to stomp around even more. She then wrote a note of her own the following day and put it in the elevator to whoever anonymously it was. Anonymous wrote me a letter complaining about the screaming kids. I never once mentioned her kids. How dare you? It is not us making any noise. If you were an adult, you would come and speak to us in person. Pull yourself together. Very polite translation. She also followed this up by spreading rumors about us throughout the building, so now all the other neighbors avoid us. Naturally, I was fucking pissed. Like, oh my fucking god, woman, take responsibility for your own shitty actions. Calling us childish when you shove a letter back into the post box and then make up random stories? Instead of just not making noise all day, taking off your shoes in your own apartment, not playing Dance Dance Revolution until 02? Or whatever she did. Haha. Honestly, we started to wonder if she had a dog, which isn't allowed because who runs around an apartment that much? We tried to complain about her through the official channels and were completely ignored. Other neighbors refused to cooperate because she'd soured their opinion of us so much. Us trying to solve the issue amicably went on for several months to no avail. Okay, now, so here's the petty part. Due to being woken up every day at 06, my body got used to it and I ended up getting up a bit earlier, around 05. I took that opportunity to go to the gym in the mornings. I was really pissed and I wanted her to face some kind of consequences or just get a taste of her own medicine. I lived under her, so I couldn't do much except the intercom system. To get into our building, you have to call up to the apartment you want from one of the two entrances. So, every couple of mornings on my way out of the building, I called up to her apartment at 5:30 or so, and then just walked off. Not every day, I'm not a monster, but I made sure to ruin her weekends. And, oh boy, is the screeching of the intercom not quiet. It is the most annoying, shocking sound. My roommates said after I left they could hear her get up and yell madly at the intercom. She moved out 3 months later and, again just to show how much damage she was doing, it took the housing company 6 months to fix up her, otherwise brand new, apartment to be fit for rental again. I pity her new neighbors. Revenge on asshole upstairs neighbors. Long story short, these people were blasting their music. We asked the office to ask them to lower the volume. That pissed them off, so they started playing the music for a longer time. They would even go out of their place and leave the music playing. The office sent them a notice. Pissed them off even more. Now they were hammering randomly, smashing things on the ground, hollering, stomping, you name it. Called the police, had a mediation with the office. Management refuses to evict them because they say they are not doing anything and it's a he said/she said situation. 3 weeks of this until 2 a.m. One particular day I had enough. Went and messed with their car. They got louder. Went and messed with their car again. I did this for a couple of days and IT is now radio silence from them. I can't share details of how I messed with their cars, but it's permanent. Some of it can be washed, but it was gross. I saw her from the back of the building trying to figure out what just happened to her car. Mine is in a garage finally. F***ck this people whom only stop when it affects them. F***ck them. It felt so F***ck good to silence them and having the upper hand. F***ck these inconsiderate bullies. I'm going to leave a little gift for them when my lease ends in October.